Hey gang, I got an offer for you today from LinkedIn. As business to business marketers, your needs are unique. B2B buying cycles are long and your customers face incredibly complex decisions. Isn't it time you had a marketing platform built specifically for you? LinkedIn ads empower marketers with solutions for you and your customers. LinkedIn ads allow you to build the right relationships, drive results, and reach your customers in a respectful environment. On LinkedIn, you have direct access to build relationships with decision makers. Of the 875 million users on the network, 180 million are senior level executives. 10 million are C-level executives. You will also be able to drive results with targeting and measuring with their tools built specifically for B2B. And best of all, they work. Audiences exposed to brand messages on LinkedIn are 6 times more likely to convert. LinkedIn ads also rank number 1 for security, community, and ad experience as part of the Business Insider's Digital Trust Study. Make B2B marketing everything it can be and get a $100 credit. It's a $100 credit on your next campaign. Go to linkedin.com/MPN to claim your credit. It's linkedin.com/MPN. Terms and conditions apply. Entrepreneurs Enigma is a podcast for the ups and downs of entrepreneurship. It's about the wins and the fails that we all face being entrepreneurs, how we learn from adversity. Every week I talk to a different entrepreneur with a story to tell. I'm Seth Goldstein. Come with me on the journey. This is Entrepreneurs Enigma. Let's get started. Hey, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Entrepreneurs Enigma podcast. As always, I'm Seth, has not changed. I am here with Fred Mather. He is the co-founder of Advisewell. He is the chairman of Pavilion, which is a great group online of senior level executives, entrepreneurs. He founded he was part of it with Sam Jacobs, who was on the program previously. Hey, Fred, how's it going?
Doing well, thanks, sir. Very
Yes.
nice to see
He
you.
also has
Thanks
a
so
great
much for
British
having me on.
accent, too. He also has a great British
That's
accent, so.
that's the only reason I've had some sort of a career, by the way. So,
Oh, everyone loves the British accent. Fred, you have been around a lot. You have had some exits. You've had some IPOs. You've been in and out entrepreneurship. And I wanted to have you on the show because you also help other entrepreneurs along the way. You advise them. You say, hey, here's what I learned. Here's what worked. Here's what didn't work, and all that stuff. So, Fred, give me a little bit of a background on how this all got started. This whole journey got started for you.
yeah, sure. My background has always sort of been on the commercial side, so variety of sales positions. In the UK, I moved here to the fine country of the USA in
The fine
'98.
country.
Exactly,
Well,
exactly.
as an American, I laugh at that. So.
Yeah. Well, we were big travelers and we were chasing a bit of a dream. We didn't necessarily come with a
Yeah.
plan. We had 2 young kids. We thought we'd enjoy it for a few years. And here we are 25 years later. It's funny. I think when I reflect on my career, I would say that one, I've learned a lot about what I now do in Pavilion that is probably different in terms of how I help and advise people. I think for myself, I probably could advise myself a little bit better. I didn't necessarily have a full plan. I took the jobs that came and I got
Yeah.
lucky and I applied myself. I did okay out of it. I was in operating roles for the better part of 25 years, stopped
Wow.
working and became, I suppose, a true entrepreneur, Seth, in about 2017. But yeah, I've been fortunate in many ways, both financially and in the career. And I would say that I've reached a better stage of happiness professionally right now. I've always met brilliant people, thoroughly enjoyed a lot of the jobs I did, but I would say I was more content and financially driven than entirely happy in a lot of those roles. I feel in a very good place right now.
Well, that's great. And that's a great thing, about entrepreneurship. I mean, there are ups and downs. There is terror at times, but you're also in charge of your own destiny. And it's rewarding that way. At least that's how I feel. So let's talk a little bit about Pavilion. I think there's I think somewhere, I think in the bio you sent me, there's like 10,000 members of this group. It's insane. It's international. And so how'd you get started with Pavilion? I mean, I guess you met Sam in New York.
Yeah, I mean, it started as a dinner club. I mean, the
Yeah.
simplicity of back then of just getting a group of people together to talk about
Imagine that.
personal and professional things in a forum, often over dinner, is somewhat still of what's at the heart of this group today. 10,000 members actually is what we're now up to.
Wow.
And so I attended those dinners, and we were a pretty small group for a few years. And then, Sam came out of an operating role roughly around the same time as me, and we found each other. I was sort of deciding what I was going to do next. I got into consulting and actually did some initial work with him before I went to Advisewell. Founded that with Jess Wilkinson, a
Wow.
fellow Pavilion member. And he gave up the consulting and went full time into what is now establishing the membership.
It's
And
pretty wild. Yeah.
yeah, I think other than the one-to-one and the group sessions, it was all really about coaching. And we ran small cohorts of associate members and gave them some help and support on their careers and where they were going. I evolved into two things. One, I wrote a lot of the executive compensation guide. And one of the
Yeah.
reasons I've been fortunate to get some half decent exits is probably because of the structure of what I negotiated on those contracts. So I took
Oh,
what
yeah.
I learned there and applied it into Pavilion, and alongside a few others, become a little bit of a guru around how to navigate that testy little path,
That's a big
get
thing.
the
Yeah.
best package, and to protect you, frankly, as well. So I do a lot
Yeah.
of that. And then at the beginning of COVID, Sam asked me if I would help people get back into work. There wasn't really a brief. Sam said, "Hey, listen, let's set up this thing called On the Bench and let's see what we can do." And
Yeah.
I threw myself at it and have been doing it now for 3 years. And I have to tell you, Seth, it's one of the most rewarding things that I've ever done in my life. It's been a wonderful chance to give back at this stage in my career and to make any type of contribution, small or large, to people who are
Yeah.
in need at a place or time where they are seeking employment, a good thing. So yeah, those are the two main tracks that I'm on inside Pavilion.
It's a crazy time for the economy. And on the bench, I heard about it. I'm like, that's great to know that it's there. I've told a few people that have been like going on to the bench in Pavilion, and I know, like, go check out the on the bench area because it's. I feel like you need support. Like my wife was during the pandemic, she got a job. During the pandemic, she was laid off from that job, and then she obviously had to decompress and all that stuff. But I find that you need support when you're because it's a job. But it's even more of a thankless job looking for a job because some people string you along, and it's just nice to have a group of people saying, "Hey, we're going through the same thing. You can do this. Here's some tips on this. Here's a tip on your resume. Here's all that good stuff." And I think that's really important to have, and I think it's very beneficial in a group like this of sales leaders, incoming sales leaders. Like there's kids in this group, not kids. I say I'm 41. I'm calling them kids, but there's like young millennials. Actually, now even Generation Z, even I think yeah, they're in the workforce now. So Generation Z and young millennials are kind of at the beginning of their careers, and I think it's great, and they should definitely check out Pavilion.
Good stuff. And I think the job hunt is a deep process these days, particularly for executives in this current environment, as you just
Yeah,
touched on, Seth. It's even harder. It's very much in the control of employers right now. And a lot of people historically tend to be a little reactive when they think about a job search, and that may bear fruit, but typically you have to put a lot of work in up front, do a lot of research. You have to be really proficient and ready for the path ahead to get that new job. And yeah, I feel that what we've been able to do other than that emotional point you make is
yeah.
to provide a consolidated, complete curriculum, if you will, of
Ooh,
where you
yeah.
can go to for all the elements of what ton of speakers and a ton of
'Cause that's
content,
needed too.
frameworks. Yeah. Yeah.
So
It's
that's
been
needed as
really
well.
cool.
Yeah, that's needed
Really
as
cool.
well because if you think about it, when you've been in a job for 5, 10, 15 years, even 3 years, you come out and you're a little rusty on the job search. Your resume needs updating. Now you need a website. Like now you need to have an online presence. And when you're at a company, a lot of times you don't focus on that. It's a whole new ball game from back when I was a plebe in the corporate cog. We're going to take a quick break, hear from our sponsors, and get right back to the show. Support for this show and all the other shows on the Marketing Podcast Network is provided by Memento. If you have your own podcast, you know how hard it is to produce and get all the cool little clips out and all that stuff. Promoting is half the battle. What if you could upload your episode, video or audio, and have AI pull out all the best moments for you to use in social media? Well, you can with Memento. Upload the video or audio, review the recommended clips, Click the couple of buttons, customize the colors, fonts, and hit save. Instantly, Instagram Reels, YouTube Shorts, Facebook, and LinkedIn posts all materialize before your eyes, all with video and audio embedded for dynamic promotions that drive people to the episode. And the AI kicks out show notes, even transcripts, and even social media captions. All you have to do is review and post them. Because you listen to this show, you get a free trial of Memento to test for yourself. Go to bit.ly/Memento MPN and sign up today. It's bit.ly, bit.ly/Memento MPN. So, Fred, what is the best thing about being an entrepreneur? Because you've been the cog, you've been the executive, and now you're doing the entrepreneur thing. What's the best thing that you see as being an entrepreneur now?
Well, definitely having freedom, Seth. I do enjoy the fact that I've probably got a lot better sort of work-life balance now than I had.
Yeah.
The hamster wheel of the 24/7 startup world was thrilling at times, but now I can do what I want when I want. I've got a wonderful partner in Jess, as I just mentioned. I think on the consulting side, the thing that's most appealing is you get to play in a lot of different places. And we've done
Yeah.
everything from work with traditional engineering businesses all the way through to SaaS. And we've just the whole variety, stage,
Yeah.
industry, profile of company. And humans are the biggest factor in all projects, not least of which consulting, because what can be done by who, their willingness to change and adapt and all that kind of stuff. So I like the pond with which we play in, and it's been a lot of fun. We picked up on some things that Sam had been doing. We apply these diagnostic assessments to the work we do. So it's a very
Wow.
the process
Yeah.
is super immersive. It gets us very close to the business, which is important
Love
to be
that.
credible when you're making recommendations. It's analytical, which I think people like, particularly in this environment. So
Mm.
it's been really good. And we have worked with a lot of companies here, South America, over in the UK, where Jess is based. She's an American married to
Yeah,
a
I always
Brit.
thought that was funny when I first met you. You said the Brits in the US and Americans in Britain. Love it.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. We sort of compare those. She's a little bit more recent over there than I am here, but yeah, it's kind of amusing. And
So
it's all been culminating for me, evolving into possibly raising a small VC fund.
ooh.
And we got hooked up with a company a couple of years ago called 82i, Jason Shapiro. And he was on the venture side, working maybe more of a sort of principal venture
Mhm.
partner type role. And he set up a financial consulting firm with many components, but a key one around helping startups with their readiness to raise capital.
They
And
need
so
that,
he and
yeah.
I went through a little bit of a courtship, and we decided to try and raise a fund, and it's going to be an operator-driven fund, which is not
Mm.
incredibly novel. There are a few around. Stage
Yeah.
two is a form of that, I think, GTM fund. A
Mhm.
few others have raised successfully recently, and we believe that we can put a lot of money to work, but most
Yeah.
important, we can apply our expertise as commercial leaders to do some
Mm.
value creation type work for these companies beyond the check that we write. And so that's
And
just
that's
another
important, yeah.
example of the freedom, the entrepreneurship we get to do something like that. So
And I love that it's for you, it's as much, yeah, you put money in, yes, you get your return on your investment eventually. Hopefully, something doesn't always happen. But you're also about giving and you're about helping and advising. And a lot of people, especially during COVID and before that, everyone was like, VCs are just in it for the money. If you find the right VC or the right angel, they're in it for the money. Like money does talk, but they're also in it to help you succeed. And I think that's when I'm working with a startup now, and I keep telling them, I'm like, look, we have to find the right people. I mean, as much as we need to find the right people in the company for the cultural fit, we need to find the right investors for the cultural fit that believe in the mission and all that stuff. So, on the flip side, what keeps you up at night?
well, my kids, of course, worrying about them. They're grown
Yeah.
up, but they still have parental needs, so them for
Yeah.
sure. The state of the economy is worrying. I don't want to be
Mhm.
naive, but I'm a little confused as to exactly what is going on right now.
I think we all are.
There is kind of there's these alternate universes of the tech side, and then the rest of the world or the rest of the
Yeah.
country, if you will, that seems to be holding up somewhat better. Not to get into a testy path, but I'm concerned politically about what's going on in this country on a lot of levels.
Yeah.
Listen, whenever you move or wherever you live, frankly, there's always trade-offs.
Yes.
I've thoroughly enjoyed my time in the States. It's a country of opportunity. And for a salesperson, was always enlightening to me when I first worked for an American company in London before I moved here, that sales was at the forefront of companies. And when I
Yeah.
worked in the UK prior, you was like a little bit of a, no, just deep in the background. Sales is the unspoken role inside the
Wow.
company. And so being able to thrive in that function has been really, really wonderful for me here. Hey, listen, we're ridiculously fortunate. I have stuff to worry about, but compared with most, I should consider myself incredibly fortunate. We live in New York. Our kids are healthy and well. My wife too. We have a wonderful family around ourselves. So, yeah,
Yeah. And
levity for me.
you can also escape New York, which is nice too. So, 'cause you can go to your house up in Connecticut if you need to to get away from the hustle and bustle of New York. 'Cause I mean, New York's a lot. I mean, I'm a Philadelphia guy, and Philadelphia is a lot. When I go to New York, I'm like, I need to decompress for like 3 days. It's a lot. But it's coming from
Oh,
a
it's a shock.
Philadelphian, so
It, 100%. It's a sharp elbowed city for sure. Uh,
yeah.
it's a material city too. My daughter always reminded me, I can never afford to live here, Dad. She says to me, if you have the faintest hint of interest in anything
Yeah.
cultural, arts wise, and we're
Oh,
big
it's
into
great.
music, we go to all the museums. I mean, there's so much to do here. The other thing actually is, I think people forget how convenient the city of New York is. I mean, obviously
It's
there's
very
5 boroughs.
convenient.
We live in Manhattan. I mean, you're anywhere in 10 minutes. I mean,
It's proven.
London's a
Yeah.
vast city by comparison. And so I think you enjoy the immediacy of everything that's available to you here.
The
Yeah,
subway's great.
I'm
It smells terrible, but it's not
actually.
but the subway. People knocked in the New York subway, but there's nothing quite like it. I mean, the tubes over in London's is good as well, but like New York City subway, for better for worse, is the lifeblood. Really, you can get anywhere with that system.
Yeah, I mean,
It doesn't catch on fire like the metro in DC.
yeah, that's but it is a city, New York, where they don't really invest a lot in infrastructure. I always talk about the fact they need an Olympics or a World Cup. I think there's actually a World Cup partially coming here. So then they're
Yeah.
forced to put the investment into improvements in the infrastructure. I mean, they put like $5 billion into LaGuardia to improve it, but they don't put $1 into the way that you get to the airport. It's
Oh
just,
god,
it's
it's a
a,
murder again there. And
it's just
forget
so
about
beautiful.
JFK. Forget about JFK. Oh
Yeah,
my
I
god.
know. Exactly. But these are small criticisms. There's so much to be enjoying in a crazy, wonderful place like New York.
It is. It is. So, what is the most important thing to carry with you all the time? This can be physical or metaphysical. Go as deep as you want.
Bear with me all the time. Well, a book probably. It's
Yes.
funny. When you're on these shows, you talk to people. They always sort of want to find out what current business books you've read. I'm a little bit more of a fiction reader, to be honest with you. I mean,
Oh,
I do read, of course, business books. I read a lot of articles. I'm currently reading the new Emil Toll's book, the Lincoln Highway, and
yeah.
I'm about to read Bono's book about his life, his biography, which I heard is brilliant.
He's a
So,
fascinating guy. Yeah.
oh God, yeah. I mean, really. And I love the band as I grew up. So there's a lot of
Yeah.
musical interest beyond sort of tracking his story.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. Carry a backpack everywhere with all my worldly goods in there, up and down from Connecticut.
There you
Yeah,
go. Yeah.
exactly. That's about it. I generally travel like with empty pockets because I have a cell phone on me like everybody else. But that's it. I like to be nice and lean on the walk, if
Yeah.
you will.
Yeah, there's a lot of walking in New York too. So
Yeah,
absolutely.
exactly.
So, where can people find you? Where's your watering hole online? Like, where do you hang out the most?
Well, I'm all over Pavilion. I'm on email. I'm in Slack. Obviously, I
Hmm.
have a work email too. That's where most people are going to find me.
Yeah.
Obviously, we have a website, Advisewell for sure. We'll have a website for the fund, which I'm obviously excited about
Ooh, that's
getting
exciting.
going.
Yeah.
I've always considered myself to be an accessible guy. I'm an action-oriented person. If you need
Hmm.
me for something, especially in Pavilion, I'm always going to give my time. I'm fortunate to be able to do that. I do a ton of meetings every week. If you want
Love it.
coffee, if you want to meet for a beer, whatever the topic, I'm certainly around and make my time available to people. So,
That's
yeah,
fantastic.
come and seek me out.
That's awesome. And guess what, everybody? We'll see you next time. That was a great show. If you're enjoying Entrepreneur's Enigma, please review us in the podcast directory of your choice. Every review helps other podcast listeners find our show. If you're looking for other podcasts in the marketing space, look no further than the Marketing Podcast Network at marketingpodcasts.net.
Theme Media hopes to have enjoyed this episode.
This podcast is one of the many great shows on the MPN Marketing Podcast Network.
You may know you're listening to this show along the Marketing Podcast Network, but did you know there are other great shows on MPN to help your business? Dave Delaney hosts a great podcast called The Nice Podcast. Dave, tell us what these fine folks will get out of listening.
Thanks for asking. The Nice Podcast is all about helping leaders improve the way they communicate with their team members, with their prospects, with their colleagues, everybody. So that's what it's all about.
Amazing. Where can people subscribe?
The places that you subscribe to podcasts normally. But you can also find the show at marketingpodcast.net, of course. And you can also visit nicepodcast.co.
You heard him, folks. Go subscribe.
This podcast is heard along the Marketing Podcast Network. For more great marketing podcasts, visit marketingpodcasts.net.